Kirito wakes up from a nightmare and gets out of bed. He's back at his home, and his sister Suguha is practicing kendo outside. She recalls feeling helpless as Kirito was laid up in the hospital while Kirito sits on the porch. The two engage in a sparring session in the dojo, and although Kirito does well using the skills her learned in Sao Sugu eventually beats him. Afterward, Kirito heads to the hospital, where we discover that Asuna, as well as 300 other players, have still not woken up after 2 months. Asuna's father and a man called Sugo also arrive at the hospital, and Kirito's world is shattered when he finds out that Sugo has arranged to marry Asuna. Sugo is a real piece of work and takes pleasure in Kirito's frustration. He divulges his plans with Asuna's family's company and forbids Kirito from visiting her again. Kirito's sister finds him in his room in complete despair. She recalls when he was in the hospital. In a conversation between her and their mother, we find out that they are cousins and not brother and sister. Suguha pulls the blankets over an exhausted Kirito and falls asleep. The next morning, she runs out embarrassed, and Kirito decides to investigate a mysterious in-game sighting after receiving an image that looks like Asuna. Kirito meets up with Egil, who sent him the image. Egil hands him a game called Alfheim Online, a similar game to SAO. They discuss the inner workings of this new game that is also equipped with a flight engine. Egil tells Kirito that the picture is from Alfheim at a place called the World Tree, with what looks like a bird cage at the top. Kirito puts the pieces together and realizes that the game is from the same company that Prick Sugo told him about. Kirito goes home. He finds Suguha and thanks her for her support and proclaims his revitalized focus to find and save Asuna. It's time to log in again. Kirito creates a new profile and chooses the Spriggan as his in-game race. As soon as he arrives, he is teleported to a forest. Before anything else, he makes sure that he can log out and is surprised to find that all his abilities from SAO are there. He frantically goes through his items, and it's there. He selects it, and Yui appears. She runs a diagnostic, and they find that the game is built on SAO's platform. He clears his inventory, and Yui assumes the role of a navigation pixie to make sure the game doesn't detect any irregularities. After a brief test flight, they notice that someone is in trouble, and of course Kirito rushes in to help. A sylph called Lifa is being attacked by a group of salamanders, but Kirito easily defeats them and saves her. The three head off to a town called Sylvain and run into a friend of hers called Reckon. At the tavern over a drink, Kirito tells Lifa that he plans to get to the World Tree. They also discuss a bunch of other things like how other players attack each other and the challenges involved in getting to the top of the World Tree. In a year, no one has been able to get to the top, and Kirito tries to figure out why that is. Lifa agrees to help and logs out of the game, and it's none other than Suguha that opens her eyes in the real world. The truth is revealed with Asuna being held prisoner by none other than Sugo, who controls this new world and has the power to make Asuna do whatever he wants. The power-hungry prick brags about his power over her and reveals that he is doing experiments on the other people from SAO that haven't woken up yet. Suguha reflects on her experiences and the love she had gotten for the virtual world. On her way to school, she runs into her friend Nagata from Alfheim. He invites her along with his party to go hunting in-game, but she declines to go with Kirito on his quest. Back in Alfheim, Lifa and Kirito meet up and stock up on some new equipment and supplies for the journey. Before they set off, they are stopped by Sigurd, who confronts her about leaving their guild. Kirito sticks up for her, and an argument ensues. Sigurd challenges Kirito, but soon realizes that it isn't the time or place, and leaves with a threat. At the top of the tower, the two set off on their journey after enjoying the view of the city below. Lifa's friend Reckon asks Kirito to take care of her, and the two fly off, leaving Sylvain behind. Asuna is still imprisoned and being tormented by Sugo. The loser laughs as he tells Asuna how he told Kirito that he has arranged to marry her. Back with Leafa and Kirito, the two head down to the ground after defeating some monsters. Leafa explains that they will have to go through some caves to keep moving forward. She logs out to take a break and check on Kirito, still unaware that he is the same Spriggan she has been spending time with in the game. After a shower, she heads back and her and Yui talk about their relationship. As soon as Kirito is back, they head to the caves. A message from Recon confirms a suspicion, and they realize that they are being followed by 12 unknown players. Leafa destroys the tracing spell, and they run to get clear from the salamanders following them. Before they can escape, a spell blocks their path, and their only option is to fight. Kirito charges in with Leafa supporting him from behind, but their opponents are very strong. She wants to take the loss, but Kirito refuses and charges in again. With an illusion spell, Kirito turns into a massive monster, and one by one the enemies get taken down until there's only one left. Instead of torture, Kirito decides to bribe the survivor with the loot from the fight. He tells them that they were sent to take Kirito and Leafa out by Jitakasu so that they wouldn't be able to interfere with a secret plan the salamanders had. Leafa logs out to check in with Recon. Recon had found out that Sigurd was a spy for the salamanders. After following them into the sewers, he found out that Sigurd was planning to betray their leader Suguya. Leafa has no choice but to hurry to them to help, and Kirito, of course, offers his help. On their way there, Leafa explains the situation to Kirito and even offers her life to help him get to the World Tree sooner. Kirito puts their friendship first, and the two head off with Kirito grabbing her hand and sprinting through the monsters in the caves. Once outside, the two fly through the air as fast as they can. They see the salamanders below them, and Kirito quickly comes up with a plan. Kirito claims to be an ambassador for the Spriggan Undine Alliance. The leader of the salamanders, General Eugene, who wields the sword the Demon Swordgram, challenges Kirito. He is believed to be the strongest player in the game. A fight ensues between the two. Eugene's sword's special ability gives him a unique advantage. However, Kirito's experience and smarts help him devise a plan to come out the winner. He finally wins the fight by using a second sword. General Eugene is revived, agrees to let them be, and withdraws after conferring with one of his soldiers. Leafa and Kirito explains the situation and Sigurd's betrayal to Suguya. She opens a moonlight mirror to Sigurd and confronts him about his betrayal. The arrogant Sigurd doesn't think that there is anything she can do to him, but she quickly puts him in his place and banishes him. After Kirito's powerful display, all the women try to entice him to join them using all the assets at their disposal. But he declines and gives them a large fortune to help them buy some new equipment before the two groups split up. Leafa and Kirito arrive in Arun, the city at the base of the World Tree and the largest city in Alfheim. With an announcement that the servers will be down, the two heroes find an inn to stay in and log out for the night. Kirito and his sister, still unaware that they have been on an adventure in Alfheim together, have breakfast and make plans for Suguha to meet Asuna at the hospital. On their way to the hospital, they discuss Kirito's plans for school and the future after losing 2 years in the SAO game. At the hospital, they enter Asuna's room, and Kirito introduces his sister. She finally starts to better understand her brother's pain, even though she is a little jealous. Asuna finds a way to escape the cage she's been put in and makes her way through the corridors inside the tree. She carefully sneaks around trying to find a way to log out. She finds an experiment hangar and makes her way in. Inside, she finds the players that are being experimented on. 2 creatures enter and speak about ongoing experiments. Asuna locates a system console, but before she can log out, the 2 creatures from before stop and recaptures her. They are clearly just as insane and perverted as their boss and take her back to her prison. Back in Alfheim, Leafa breaks down and cries as Kirito comforts her. She pulls herself together, and the two set off to the World Tree with Yui. As soon as they get close to the base of the tree, Yui senses Asuna, and Kirito shoots up trying to fly to the top, but it's too high. Inside the cage, Asuna hears Yui's voice, wondering if there is a way to help them. She drops a security card that she stole down to them. With the card from Asuna in hand, Kirito heads inside. Inside, the World Tree, thousands of guardian monsters attack, and Kirito cuts them down one by one. He pushes as far as he can, but gets hit by multiple arrows and swords until his health bar completely depletes. Suddenly, he sees Leafa storm in. She gets hold of his flame and rushes to the exit. Outside, she uses a potion to revive Kirito. Kirito wants to head back in immediately, but Leafa tries to stop him. He thanks her and tells her that he must go back in to save Asuna, and she finally realizes that Kirito is actually her brother, and he also realizes that Leafa is his sister Suguha. They both log out, and Suguha finally spills the beans that they aren't actually brother and sister, and that she has fallen in love with him. At his desk, we find out that Kirito has known since he was 10 years old, and that's one of the reasons he started playing RPGs. Back in Alfheim, Leafa runs into Recon. He confesses that he's in love with her after she tells him that her and Kirito had a disagreement. Kirito and Leafa find each other and have a friendly duel to clear the air. Leafa falls into Kirito's arms, and the two apologize to each other and finally clear up a misunderstanding that has been making things awkward for a very long time. Leafa, Kirito, and Recon come up with a strategy to attack together. Leafa and Recon will support Kirito in his fight, and they enter. Again, they are confronted by an unlimited number of enemies. Recon and Leafa both work hard and clear a path for Kirito, but he is stopped again, even though Recon sacrificed himself. Just as things seem completely hopeless, their allies appear. The Sylphs and the Katsi, armed with the gear bought with Kirito's money. They launch an attack that finally gets Kirito through. Kirito finally reaches the door, but Yui finds out that the door was never meant to be opened in the first place. With the help of the administrator card, however, Yui opens the door, and Kirito enters a hallway. The two rush to the cage where Asuna is kept and reunite with one another. The happy moment doesn't last long as Sugo enters and forces them to the floor. The evil prick, clearly in love with his own voice, goes on a rant about his crazy plans. He chains Asuna up and shows his perverted side before he starts torturing Kirito by making him watch how he violates Asuna's naked body. A voice speaks to Kirito. It's Akihiko Kayaba. He tells Kirito to get up and fight like he did in SAO. Kirito gets up and uses Kayaba's administrator credentials to take admin privileges away from Sugo. With the pain absorber set to 0, Kirito makes Sugo fight him, and he demolishes him. Kirito and Asuna fall into each other's arms and plan to meet up at the hospital. Akihiko Kayaba appears again and gives Kirito a world seed, everything needed to create a new online world before he disappears. Yui appears, and Kirito finally leaves for the real world and the real Asuna. Back home, Kirito thanks Suguha for all her help and then leaves for the hospital. At the hospital, Kirito is attacked. Sugo has come to kill him. Fueled by righteous rage, Kirito manages to best him and the loser crumbles. Kirito finally makes it to Asuna, and he tells her that he has just defeated the final boss. The two kiss after he tells her his real name, Kazuto Kirigaya. The whole gang, everyone from Sao, meet up at Agil's bar for a congratulatory party. Kazuto reveals that he has made the seed publicly available for everyone to download and create their own online world. The series comes to an end with Kirito taking Leafa on another journey to play SAO with him and all their friends.
So, do you like the AI voice? Or would you maybe want us to do a real voice? Let us know in the comments.